right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Boomer-Junior podcast. I'm Boomer, or as I'm actually called, Nick Baradwaj, and this is my buddy Zachary, or as we affectionately call him.
What
do you call yourself?
Junior.
There you go. All right. We're two best friends from college, both proud Boilermakers out of the Midwest. I live in Dallas now. Zach lives out in the West Coast in San Diego. We're just two best friends from college who love to talk shop about college athletics, whether it's mostly football and basketball, but it's just, we figured, give us a mic and we'll give you guys our hot takes. This is just going to be a fun thing that we kick off. We're going to do this on the weekly. We're going to see how this goes. We're going to see what happens, but super stoked. First segment we're going to kick off is last week's recap. So this week's interesting because technically there were 2 weeks of football that's already happened. So to kick that off, we're going to talk about the teams that have played 2 games already. So we're going to start off with Kansas State. And Zachy, do you want to kick us off?
Yeah, for sure. So I got to say, this was a great start to the college football season. The Iowa State-Kansas State game in Ireland. It was beautiful. In the first quarter, there was, a muffed punt, a couple of fumbles. During the game, there's like a dropped handoff and stuff. Just a lot of chaos. Really welcoming back in the college football season. And after last year with the Georgia Tech Florida State upset, seems like Ireland might just be like the twilight zone for college football. So pretty cool to see. And then go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
No, all I was going to say to that was I saw Notre Dame play in Ireland 2 years ago in the same stadium, and I think it has to do something with the pitch with all those muffed punts, but I could be wrong. On the topic of Kansas State, though, we can't move on without talking about Avery Johnson. We have a section later on called Boomer's Bold Take or My Hot Take, and this is like a mini hot take. I don't think Avery Johnson is all that he's talked up to be. There's a lot of hype around this kid, and I think there was some validity leading up to the season, but he's had 2 games now, one where he's dropped the bag, and the second one last night against North Dakota where he almost lost, and so. That's someone to watch the rest of the season, in my opinion. Is he going to pan out? Is he going to be good? I think not. But oh well. All right.
Yeah, I will say for Avery Johnson, you see what people talk about, right? Definitely a talented runner and stuff, and you can see some throws and stuff that that look like they're there, but the consistency is just not. And so that's really what it is. It's a matter of consistency, I feel.
Yeah, you can kind of chalk that up to early season jitters, right? You can kind of. So I guess we're gonna have to see how he plays out into the season, into Big 12 play. But move on. Next game.
Yeah, sure.
All right. Boise State, USF. Boise State takes the L, and I think it's pretty apparent that Boise State is not back this year.
Was it just one L that they took? It might have been a couple. I mean, that was enough scoring USF did on them to make it a couple. Genty is clearly very strongly missed. I will say I did see something beforehand, something about West Coast teams traveling out to the East Coast week 1. Some stat never cover, and so I was USF probably gonna cover, maybe outright win. Did not expect this absolute thrashing that occurred.
I did. I honestly did. I mean, the writing was on the wall. That team last year, don't get me wrong, Cinderella story. You got Ashton Genty, phenomenal running back, carrying that team on their back. Not to say that I called it, but I kind of called it this year that they were gonna drop the ball. We'll see how it plays out. Maybe I'm just being mean. I don't know. Maybe I'm just being mean. I don't think they're gonna make the playoffs this year. But anyway, we're still on last week's recap. So all right, go.
Yeah. So next is kind of a combination of games, just an interesting storyline. Big Ten versus MAC matchups. There were some Big Ten teams that handled business and stuff in week 1 with these, but there were 4 close games that we have noted here, or closer than they should have been, perhaps at least. You got Rutgers only beating Ohio by 3. Minnesota 23-10 versus Buffalo, but that was, I believe, like a late touchdown, so it was kind of close during the game.
Yeah.
Wisconsin was up. I think they were only up like 3-0 on Miami of Ohio at half, which shout out our family friend Chuck Martin, the head coach of Miami of Ohio.
All right.
Yeah, no, they've got good
Shout out
program
Chuck.
going there, but yeah. And then my Michigan State Spartans, great first half, 21-0 first half. I was liking everything I was seeing. Defense not giving up any points, great offense performance. Defense gets a safety in the second half, and that's the only good thing you can say, really. So not too worried about it, but another one, MAC team covered. Do you think this is more of a weak Big Ten play or strong MAC play?
Great question. Okay, so I caught those two middle games. First off, I didn't realize Rutgers only won by 3 points. That's crazy. I caught those two middle games, the Minnesota game and the Wisconsin game this past week. And I gotta say, I think it's a strong MAC year. Like, I think the MAC conference has some strong players this year. Buffalo, I mean, honestly, that scoreline is not valid. Like that scoreline is not a good depiction of how they played. I think they played well. But also, I think, yeah, I mean, I think the Big Ten could possibly, at least some of the teams, I think this might be a weak year, weaker than anticipated at least. And so, at least going into it, if I had to pick one, I'm going to say strong MAC. I think they're looking good this year. I know Miami lost; they didn't put any points on the board, but I mean, I watched that game and Wisconsin scored late. Like, they took a minute to get into that game, and so anyway. Moving on. Here's a big one. Texas, number 1 Texas takes on number 3 Ohio State in Columbus. Shout out the GOAT, the legend, Lee Corso. Last game on College Game Day. I don't think it's ever going to be the same. It was great to see him and great to see him make his pick. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not happy that he picked Ohio State, but you know what? We'll do it for Lee. All right. It's pretty apparent. I mean, week 1 jitters on both ends offensively. I mean, you've got Arch finally taking the reins at Texas, and you got this new kid, Julian Sain over at OSU. I had a feeling going into this game, this was not going to be a high scoring game. And it played out that way, right? Now, I think a lot of the critics that are jumping on Arch this early on in the season, I don't think that's fair. I've been a critic myself of Arch the last couple of years. I think the Manning name, has really pushed him a long way. But I think, I think he might not be that bad this year, man. Like, I think Arch might actually have a good year. I don't think this game is indicative. It's his first game starting. He's in Columbus playing the defending national champions. Like, Texas loses, 14-7. OSU comes out with the win. They're probably going to fall a couple places, but I think it was a great warm-up game for Arch. But yeah.
For me, I think I got 2 points on that. So yeah. Arch, you definitely saw. I agree. I think he's gonna have a good year still. He was getting a lot of hype, like you said, because of that Manning name, and his Heisman odds have dropped already a little bit, which is understandable. But yeah, I think he's still got a good year ahead of him here. And, even this bodes well for him coming back for his senior year, which, we would love to have, that star talent sticking in college football. So, and also, I really think this was more of a testament to the defenses. Texas, Texas, when they were in the Big 12, I think you thought of them for a while as more of an offensive power team and just outscore you. But, last year and this year, really been dominant defenses, it seems. So I think this is just really a testament to both teams.
And before we move on, I think you brought up a good point about his Heisman odds, right? I think if anything, him dropping in the rankings for the Heisman, I think that's only going to make him better, because the last thing he wants is more pressure on him, right? The last thing he wants is more pressure on him. I think it'll be good for him. I'm a Texas kid. Like, I've been in Texas my entire life. I've not been a big Longhorns guy, but I'm actually, you know what? I'm here for it. I'm here for I want him to do well. Like, I want him to do well. We'll see. We'll see how that pans out.
For sure. Moving on then, our next game, and this was the biggest game of the week, or biggest upset of the week, and what I would consider to be the highest impact on the future playoffs, is Alabama losing at Florida State in pretty decidedly fashion. I don't think this was really ever much of a contest. You had Florida State 31, Alabama 17. Tom and Castellanos walking the talk. He was running his mouth this offseason, but man, did he back it up week 1.
It's so valid. No, it's so valid. My only take on this game was I saw a good chunk of it, and FSU was dominant. Like FSU was hungry for that win. I thought, like, man, whether or not Alabama still makes the playoffs is a different story, but I think FSU is hungry for the fact that they got ripped off 2 years ago, or I guess like two playoffs ago.
Mhm.
They're hungry. They're hungry. You can see it on their head coach's face. Like yeah, that team came out to play and they came out to make an impact.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's a great point. I feel like a lot of people have kind of gotten caught up in, the 2-10 season last year and forget that they went undefeated during the regular season and conference championship the year before and got completely gypped on getting left out of the
Missed
playoffs. So,
out.
I mean, if you're
Missed
a
out.
Florida State player who's been on the team since that, 13-0 season a couple years ago, you got to have all this frustration built up. And I think you really saw that just get released on Alabama on Saturday. And it was, I'm happy.
Yeah, man.
I'm never a fan of. I always like to root for the upsets. This was good to see, and
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
just getting kind of what they deserve there. Yeah.
I was telling my buddies this last night that I was watching a different game last night, but we were tracking the score and I was just like, if you, I don't want to, I don't, we're probably not going to have too many listeners listening to this right now, but I don't want any Alabama like fans coming after me. Um, I, obviously, not a Bama guy, and obviously watching them in the Saban era, it gets annoying, right? I was saying if I had seen this game happen 2 years ago under Saban, I would have felt different than I do today. Now I'm just kind of like, all right, Bama lost. They're still gonna like they're still gonna be dominant. They're still gonna play really dominantly in the SEC. Then a buddy of mine said, "Yeah, because this wouldn't have happened under Nick Saban." I'm like, "Got a point. Got a point."
Very true. Yeah, he would not have been letting that happen. Which actually brings up another point. Missed the playoffs last year. Not a great start this year. If Alabama misses the playoffs this year,
The board's out.
They're out. Do you think? You think
The board's out?
Yeah, it's possible. It's.
Oh,
I would say of all places, this would be the place where that would happen. So
the
yeah, it's
board
interesting to
is
see.
out. This might be crazy. Call me nuts, but like, I could see and Zach, call me out on this. Man, I could see Bama throwing at their head coach like midway through the season. If things are really that bad, yeah. If things are that bad, I could see it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if they get to the point of 6 losses, I could see them tossing in midseason. Yeah. I think in all likelihood, it's going to make it to the end of the season, and we'll kind of see what happens from there. But yeah, I'd say that the seat temperature just increased significantly for him. So,
I mean,
yeah, we'll see
if Ryan Walters can make it through a full Purdue season after taking them 1-11, maybe Kalen DeBoer might be safe after all.
Yeah, moving on to our next game. Yeah, we got New Mexico and Michigan. The debut of highly $12 million valued quarterback Bryce Underwood, the Godfather offer that he couldn't refuse because he clearly didn't want to go to Michigan until they threw too much money at him. He himself had a solid debut. 21 for 31. That's high 60s completion percentage, 251 yards, a touchdown, no turnovers. For a first game as a true freshman, not bad. I'll give that to him. However,
you struggled to say that. You struggled to say that.
I believe I'll just call it as I see it. That seemed like a pretty solid performance. He did better than Childs this week. So
no, fair play. I'm just giving you a hard time. Go.
Yeah. But I guess I will say though, people had a lot of hope for Michigan this year because they figured as long as Bryce Underwood wasn't terrible, that the defense would be carrying them. And they give up 17 to New Mexico, and those weren't garbage time points necessarily. It was a 17-10 game in the second quarter.
I remember that.
Things can change. It is week 1. That's something to keep an eye on, though, I think. This Michigan defense may not be as dominant as it's been in the past. So,
that's definitely a good take. I don't know if Michigan's going to be all that this year, but oh well. Moving on. Another big matchup this week. LSU Clemson. Something I thought we're gonna get into my take on Brian Kelly here in a sec, but something I thought that was really cool was the 1-0 shirts that LSU was wearing in warmups. Ballsy. I like it. I don't know if you caught that, Zach, but
I did not see that.
There were a couple of guys in warmup from the LSU. They might be on defense when they were running drills in warmup, legitimately had purple like 1-0 shirts on, and you know what? Normally I'm a hater on that kind of stuff. I thought that was sick. My family doesn't like Brian Kelly at all. We're big we're big Notre Dame folks, and I don't want to see him have success at LSU. But having said that, they did their part last night, winning 17-10 over number 4 Clemson. Brian Kelly gets over the hump at LSU openers. 2 Heisman hopefuls, low numbers, but good defenses on both ends.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, Brian Kelly I think he was 0-3 in season openers at LSU. Man. So yeah, that was big to see him, finally get that win. I was rooting for Clemson, but that is, big for him and the program though, for sure. And yeah, it was good to see. Good duel.
Our next matchup, we can't have 2 Boilermakers on a podcast without talking about our Boilers. Shout out to Purdue. We're 1-0 this season. Coming off a big 31-zip win over our Indiana neighbors, Ball State. I watched that game end to end. And I have takes on it. I think our offense, when they're gelling, they're moving that ball down the field. Like Brown he's slinging that thing. He's mobile on his legs. Maccabee's still looking fresh as ever. I think that offense, that O-line is actually looking half decent. Like, they're not looking bad. They give me a little bit of hope, but then they started off strong, slowed down in the second quarter. I think it's a matter of keeping momentum. And defense also looked well, in my opinion. And I promise I'm not coming at this from a biased standpoint. There are gaps that we got to fill. But we handled business. Granted, Ball State, neighboring school, whatever. But we're gonna see how we play out in the Big Ten. Coming off of last year, I was very scared going into this season. Like, we got a new head coach, new system, new players. I'm curious. I was like, I don't know what I can expect from this team this year. Now, don't get me wrong. We're not going to be immaculate, but a guy can pray for a bowl game. All right. With this team, I can kind of pray for a bowl game. A couple of shout outs real quick. Wide receiver Michael Jackson III. First of all, cool last name. His celebration in the end zone, it was electric. Electric. All right. Purdue wins 31-zip. Love that game. Go Boilers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was definitely Ball State isn't typically MAC powerhouse by any means, but definitely took care of business though compared to some of those other Big Ten teams facing MAC teams. Definitely taking care of business there, looking good in for debut for the new head coach. So good for them.
Go Boilers.
And next to my other kind of game of the week, I want to call this one Nick Oh No.
So good.
Mr.
So
Nico,
good.
I'm going to apologize because I'm definitely getting his last name wrong. Iamaleava. However you say it. Iamaleava. That sounds better.
Okay.
Whatever it is, I apologize for this pronunciation. Wow. I'm not going to lie. I thought he had a pretty good year at Tennessee, and kind of during last year, I was kind of a truther for him. I thought he was going to be, the real deal.
So was I.
Wow. Could we not have been more wrong? Only putting up 10 points against Utah at home in the season opener. Nico was 50% completion percentage for 136 yards, a touchdown, interception. Did have a little on the ground game too, 47 yards on 13 carries. I mean, he didn't do nothing, but this is not, $2-3 million in NIL worth of quarterback output right here.
I think, he's up there in the top 5 of QBs that's making the most money this year out of NIL deals. And I'm just like, dude, what? I saw that score. I didn't watch this game, to be fair, but I saw that scoreline and I was like, I thought UCLA and Nico were going to handle business. Yeah, man, that's going to be one to watch. I mean, Nico's up there in draft boards, if I'm not wrong, for this upcoming year. We'll see how he shakes out, man. Not anymore, dude. We'll see how this shakes out. We'll see.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, obviously,
43 times.
Just one game, hard to, gauge necessarily. But yeah, definitely so far, Tennessee seems like it won that little quarterback trade they had of getting, is it Joey Aguilar then from UCLA? It's, pretty funny swap there. So.
Oh yeah, by far. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Moving on to our next segment. This is our first Boomer's Bold Take. So Boomer, go ahead and give us your boldest take of the week.
Thanks, Junior. All right. So my first bold take, though, this is something. So this is, by the way, I should preface. This is almost an essence of like why me and Zach started this podcast because we have these takes that we just kind of riff off each other. My bold take coming out of week one, and I'm like, I might get some heat for this from people that we know, but I think LSU is going to fall out of the top 12. And hear me out on this. I'm taking my Brian Kelly bias out of this. That SEC's looking strong this year. Like SEC's looking strong this year. Georgia's coming back with massive firepower. I think there's going to be some big play. Now, don't get me wrong, quarterback's looking good, but is LSU going to make the playoffs? I think they're going to be right. I think I could see them losing to I think they're playing Georgia this year, but if I'm not wrong, but I could see them losing to Georgia, so taking an L there. I think honestly, I think Arch might shape up, and if they're playing Texas, I could see that being a problem for them. I could see them being on the bubble. I could be wrong on this, but my bold take coming out of week one. I mean, don't get me wrong, they handle business, but it's a long way to the playoffs, and it's a long way down the road. I think LSU might fall out of that top 12. I don't know, Zach. What do you think?
Yeah. I mean, definitely a bold take. There's not a ton of reason to go for falling all the way out. I mean, I think we've kind of established the precedence. It seems a 2-loss Big Ten or SEC team is likely going to be making the playoffs. So that's kind of the magic number to watch. If they get that third loss, especially if it's like a conference championship, they might still slide in or something maybe. But yeah, it'll be something to keep an eye on. SEC is a strong conference though.
You never know, man.
It's hard to pick any of them for sure to come out of there because you just don't know how they're going to face up against each other. So, yeah. We'll see.
All right, we'll see how that shakes out. That's my Boomers bold take of the week. All right, we're gonna move on. This is Junior's next take, or his big take. Junior's jumbo stat of the week. All right, let's go, pal.
Yeah. So I've got 2 this week. I think you understand why I have an honorary one here. But first one is 5. That is the number of seasons since Hawaii had a win against a Power 4/5 program before knocking off Stanford in week 0. I thought that was really cool. I didn't get to watch the entire game, but I did get to see parts of it and was following it on my phone. Came back and had a late field goal to win the game. Well, I believe field goal to tie and then another field goal to win the game. So I'm a big Rainbow Warriors fan. Whenever I go to Vegas with my dad, we're out there watching the Hawaii home games that are like, late at night. And so we're always cheering on those Rainbow Warriors in the Mountain West. So shout out to Hawaii for, getting that first post-pandemic victory against a Power 4 or 5 program. So good for them.
Whoa, it's crazy when you think about that. Okay.
Yeah. This was 2019 was their last one. And they had a pretty good year there. I think they had like 2 or 3 wins against Pac-12 opponents that year. So
also Stanford dropping the ball. What the heck? What?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anybody expected Stanford to be strong this year. Hawaii might have actually been favored in this game. I'm not sure. I remember it was close.
That's okay.
But because that travel to Hawaii is kind of intense, so they usually get an extra point or 2 on the spread for home field advantage. So
wow.
Yeah. So there's that one. Yeah. And then other stat of the week. This is an honorary to Lee Corso, 6, which is the number of teams, which is all the teams that he coached at, that won this past Saturday/weekend. That was, a really great moment to see with him retiring from College Game Day. He's been such a great voice for the college football world for so long. So, good send out for him on the show, and then with all of his teams winning. Thank you, Coach, for everything.
Special mention, not just the team that he coached, but FSU also won where he played quarterback. And so that's the team on top. I saw that. I thought it was really cool. I saw this online yesterday where it was like all of, Coach Corso's teams that he coached and played on one, which I was like on the last day for his College Game Day. So I was like, that's pretty cool. I was like, that's the universe being pretty cool. I like that.
I mean, cool. him and Dick Vitale are, one of ones, right? They're truly, great people for the sport. So just happy to, see a great send off for him.
I'm going to miss Lee Corso, man. I'm going to miss it. I didn't like whenever he picked the Buckeyes, but I'll take it.
Yeah. All right. right. So then, kind of looking ahead to this next week now, we're talking about our playoff impact game of the week. And we've decided on Michigan versus Oklahoma. Nick, you want to go ahead and get into that?
Yeah, pal. All right. I think this one was interesting, right? Or like this one is going to be interesting, right? Like this upcoming week. Um, Two teams that have had historical, obviously impacts. Michigan winning it obviously a couple years ago, controversial, but and Oklahoma coming, they're obviously yeah, and Oklahoma being new in the SEC the last couple of years. I think I think Oklahoma could make some moves down the road. I think Oklahoma could make some moves down the road. I mean, Coach Venables, like, I've always been a fan. I think his system's awesome. Don't get me wrong, Oklahoma's not been the greatest the last couple of years, and he's not had the best start. But I think he's finally got a decent system at OU. I mean, yeah, dude, they took care of business against Illinois State, 35-3. I think, and honestly, man, Michigan, they might not be the powerhouse they were a couple of years ago in terms of the playoffs, but I think they could have. I mean, I mean, OSU people are going to get mad at me, but like, OSU can't be Michigan, right? Like, who knows? Like, there's that. I think OU could make some ripples in the SEC. I mean, we'll see how Texas shakes out. Like that, Red River, rivalry could be something to look forward to. Yeah, I think this game, in terms of the actual playoff impact, though, I think this game could actually I think more than anything, it will show us what these teams look like. It'll show us what these teams look like in a big matchup. And yeah, that's my take. That's my impact game of the week.
Yeah. Yeah. This is the, only ranked versus ranked matchup. So obviously, they're kind of in those teens area. So this is obviously big for the bubble implications there. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, yeah, I thought it was interesting. Like you said, I agree. I like Brett Venables. Interesting because he's more of a defensive minded coach. And so I thought that was interesting at first when Oklahoma brought them in because during much of our lifetimes, Oklahoma has been, just a, shootout, outscore you type of team. But they've been shaping up. And last year upset over Alabama. We've talked about it. Alabama isn't what it has been for the last decade or so. But still a good win though. So we'll see. I think it's definitely shaping up to be a good matchup. Would not be surprised. Michigan. I talked about Michigan's defense maybe not being that great earlier. Still could see this being like an under 30 game though, total scoring possibly. I think this will definitely be some good defensive highlights. But we'll go ahead and see what happens.
Fair play.
All right. Moving on to our lookout for the upcoming week here. Our little picks versus each other. We got 3 games. I'm not sure on a name for this yet. We'll call it Boomer-Junior Blitz for now. We'll
stick with that. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. And so we got our picks out for this week. So I'll go ahead and lead off. Looking at Iowa at Iowa State, the Cyhawk game. I was like, wait, I know what this is. The Cyhawk game. Good rivalry game to have early on here. I will say, Iowa put up 30 something points, I think, this past week, but it was against single A high school team, maybe though. No, I believe it was an FCS opponent. But yeah, so we'll see. Maybe the new quarterback, new offensive coordinator are cooking a little bit, and they'll be putting up more points and stuff. I, however, am taking Iowa State -2.5 at home. I really liked what I saw out of Rocco Becht in that Kansas State game.
He's looking good, man.
Former Big 12 freshman of the year, offensive freshman of the year. I like Iowa State, but definitely could see this going either way. But yeah, going to Iowa State -2.5.
I think that's a good take, man. I think Iowa State's rocking this year. They're coming in, slinging that thing. I think that's good. I think it's a good take. I think they're going to cover. All right, my first pick for the week is the BC MSU or the MSU game. MSU is expected to cover 3.5 in this game. I think they're going to cover comfortably. And I'm not even just saying that because Zach's here. But like BC, I've actually kind of had a soft spot for them, like just for a long time. But man, they just always disappoint. I think MSU, I think they're going to cover comfortably. MSU to take the win. Week 2. Yeah, week 2.
Yeah. I will say I'm slightly nervous as a state fan. MSU almost won at Boston College last year, and Boston College did light up. I think it was Fordham they played, so another FCS
Oh yeah,
school. In week 1. So we'll see. I do think Michigan State's gonna win, but glad that you picked it and I didn't have to.
no, that's okay.
Yeah. So I'll go with my next pick. Kansas at Mizzou. This is, I think, a less talked about rivalry, and honestly, one I didn't know about until like the last couple of years, especially like in basketball and stuff too. This is going to be an intense, heated game. Would not be surprised if there's maybe some fights or something. I'm going to stick to the SEC guns, go with Mizzou -6 in this game. However, Kansas hasn't been the poverty program that it was during the 2010s, though. They've been
That's
having
true, man.
some bright
That's
moments. Last
true.
year, they kind of declined a little bit again, but I don't know. I think they've got some decent stuff cooking there. So we'll see what happens,
Dude.
I'm taking
I think
Mizzou
that's
-6, but
all right, Mizzou -6. My neighbors are big big KU guys. So we're gonna see how that shakes out for them. My second pick for the week, my second game I'm looking at is Baylor at SMU. Got the Waco team versus the Dallas team. SMU slated to cover by 4 right now, and I actually saw SMU play in person last night. I saw them play East Texas A&M, and that was fun. It was my first SMU game, even though I've been in the Dallas area for the better half of 20 years. But having said that, I think SMU is going to cover. I don't think they're going to be as dominant as last year. I think they play well, but I think they're gonna handle business with Baylor. Baylor coming off a loss against Auburn. Obviously, that Auburn team looked great, and Baylor put up some points. But I think SMU and that O line is going to handle business pretty well.
Yeah. Nice. And then I'll move on to my third pick of the week, third and final. James Madison at Louisville. I wanted to pick this game. I think this is an intriguing matchup. James Madison, was a pretty good program the last few years. Dipped a little bit after Kurt Signetti left, but I think they had a pretty good week one. I don't recall what the score was, but they had a good week 1. Jeff Brom, though, our Purdue fandom sticking through though to Louisville. Yeah, can't hate him for leaving Purdue to go to his alma mater. It was a little bummer at first, but it's like I understand it. I'm going to take Louisville -16.5. He's got their program looking pretty decent. I'm going to take that. I do like what I see out of James Madison, but sticking with Louisville at home here in week 2.
I mean, dude, ever since Brom went back there, I mean, Louisville's been an offensive, I don't want to say juggernaut, but they've been offensively so strong. It's ridiculous. It's
definitely more so than they've been since Lamar was there.
Dude, it's that QB mentality that Brom's got. It's that trick play mentality that Brom's got. I miss him dearly just because he took Purdue to the Big Ten championship. But having said that, guy's got to do what he's got to do. All right, our last pick for Boomer-Junior Blitz for the week. Can't leave the other guy out. Is Michigan OU. I talked about this earlier. And the spread's at 3.5 for Oklahoma. I think Oklahoma's going to cover. I think it's going to be tight. It might not be, it might not, but I think they're going to be just fine. I think they're going to win by 1 touchdown, if not more. I want OU to win this. I want them to come out and be strong in the SEC. But we'll see. I think that's my take for Michigan OU. Yeah.
I don't think I have to share why I want Oklahoma to win. But yeah, I agree. I think I believe this is at Oklahoma.
Man.
So that makes sense. They basically just got the home field advantage, sticking to them there. Yeah, I mean, young quarterback and Bryce Underwood. No, Oklahoma's quarterback's looking pretty decent, and their offense was humming a bit better overall, it seemed. I'm going to go ahead and stick with Oklahoma as well. I like that pick. We'll see. This is little side note too. I forgot to mention earlier. This is the Air Jordan Bowl. 2 of the few Air Jordan sponsored teams. There's a couple others like North Carolina and I think Florida is too. But Air Jordan Bowl here, Michigan, Oklahoma.
Oh yeah.
So cool. All right. Well, that wraps up our Boomer-Junior Blitz and our first episode of the week. So if you listen, thank you, appreciate that. Go ahead and like and subscribe to our YouTube page, Boomer and Junior, as well as for us on Spotify. We'll have it posted on there as well. So feel free to follow us there and give it a listen and rate it 5 stars. We have an email. So if you want to email us questions, give us feedback, any segments you want to see, things, different, whatever, we're happy to listen to stuff. Email us officialboomerandjunior@gmail.com. And then as well as follow us on social media, Instagram and TikTok @Boomer&Junior. We'll have all these posted as well in the comment description area, so you can find all those there. So
Real quick,
thanks for listening week 1.
Real quick, Zach. Thanks for listening to episode 1. This thing's gonna get ironed out over time. We're gonna have some people come on too over the next few, over the next few episodes. We're gonna try to have our friends come on, get their takes on it. Thanks for listening. We're excited for this.
Absolutely, yeah. We've got one friend in particular, our buddy Gundo, who he's going to be joining for the hot take segment. I feel.
I can't wait.
He ditching some hot takes.
I can't wait for Grant to come on. Oh, it's going to be so good.
Yeah. So, alrighty, yeah. So, thank you for everybody for listening for week 1, and we'll see you next week. So,
bye, everybody.
Bye.